Go ahead and call to order the October 29th called meeting of the Bristol, Virginia City Council. Please join me in a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, thank you all for coming out tonight on a not normally scheduled meeting. Got a few things we're going to get to. So item 1 is the consent agenda, and it's a purchase requisition. And so I'm looking for a motion and second on the consent agenda.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is by the Vice Mayor and the second is by Mr. Farnham. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Farnham.
Yes.
Mumpower.
Yes.
Wingard.
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes. Regular agenda items. Item 2 is approval of a golf cart lease with United Financial. Staff report.
Council, this is a golf cart lease with United Financial. This will allow us to lease new golf carts for a period of 3 years at the Clear Creek Country Club, or Clear Creek Golf Course. You can see the lease there is in front of you. It is at a rate of 2.05% is the interest rate for that lease. That's the APR. And it's for a 3-year term, which is basically the life of most golf carts.
All right, thank you. So I don't have a sign-in sheet. Was there anybody signed up? Okay. So no one signed up for public comment, so I am looking for a motion and a second to take action. Council discussion.
I think 3 years life expectancy on these golf carts is low. They should last longer than that. Just out of curiosity today, I done a quick internet search, which you can find anything you want to on the internet, and 90% of it's false. But I do have experience with marine batteries because I was in that field for a decade, and I do know that these marine type batteries can last longer, and if the batteries end up low and exposed to plates, you've killed the life cycle of the battery. From that point going forward, it's quick charge and quick discharge. So I'm not saying this is what's happened. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying that maintenance is key to longevity on equipment. So if we, the city, are not maintaining these batteries properly and only getting 5 years out of them, we need to relook at that. Because if we're going straight from buying one lease out at the tune of $45,000 to get out of it to where we can enter back into another $200,000+ lease for 3 years, if we're sitting here this time 3 years from now talking to maintain, to better replace.
That we're buying out was a 4-year lease, and I think historically the city had tried to do 3-year leases and went to a 4-year lease to stretch the payment out, and we felt like that 4 years isn't the life of the golf cart, so that's why we're reducing that back down to 3 years, just to add that additional information.
Okay, well, what limited knowledge I have on golf carts is very limited, just a certain.
That we're buying out was a 4-year lease, and I think historically the city had tried to do 3-year leases and went to a 4-year lease to stretch the payment out, and we felt like that 4 years isn't the life of the golf cart, so that's why we're reducing that back down to 3 years, just to add that additional information.
Okay, well, what limited knowledge I have on golf carts is very limited, just a certain.
We have, and taking care of the stuff that we buy and that we lease out, that's very important. I would agree with you on that, certainly. And hopefully going forward we can be very careful with these that we have. And would you like to say a few words?
I think Mr. Barnes can,
I was just gonna address the battery issue. Like, the biggest thing at Clear Creek is the terrain, the hills on the backside. It has an extra wear on the batteries. Where marine, I don't know much about the marine batteries, but most of that's probably just on the water.
It's the same type of battery
Flat.
that's in golf carts.
Right, but it's all like flat water, all that. The terrain on the backside at the golf course, up and down all those hills, that's really drains on the battery. We do maintain the water levels. We have a system now on the golf carts where you can't overfill them, because overfilling with water is bad on them as well. So that's one thing that we are trying to watch. Now, we have noticed that some of them have gotten to the platelets, and that's one thing that we do try to keep an eye on.
Okay.
And I'll look into that system a little bit better too.
Okay. Well, since you came up, I'll ask you, are you just using regular tap water?
No, we have we run it through a machine that distills it, and it also has a plug where it won't overfill.
Okay.
Are there, is it 65 golf carts, what we have and what we're getting, or the new ones coming, are they brand new?
Yes.
It just seems to me like, we had a good year out there with the membership drive that was done. It seems like it's been busy, and that's a good thing. It seems like we've got some good momentum, so, I'm glad that we can do this, so we don't want a bunch of new members going out there and then saying, oh, the golf carts keep breaking down on us, so we're just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
So-
we're on, right now, like today, when I left today at 5 o'clock, we had about 125 players already today. And, we've had several golf carts go down today. The lease company, they have brought some gas carts in to help us to get through. The issue with gas carts, they don't have a governing the braking system, so on the backside when you're going down the hills, it's dangerous. We're just trying to get through to the new lease. We have, right now, out of the 65 carts, 38 of the carts won't make it 18 holes. So we're trying to send those out for 9 holes and do the best we can to get through. And like when we have slow years, like let's say we only do 23,000 rounds, that's not a whole lot of wear on your golf carts. But if we're doing that, then you're all going to be fussing at me because we're not making enough money. We need to do around 32,000 rounds of golf per year to keep you guys happy and to keep that revenue up. And that's our goal. This year, with the new membership and everything that we've put into place, our rounds and revenues are up, and it's going to take its toll on the golf carts.
Do you know about how many thousand rounds total there'll probably be this year? I know we got a little bit of time
Well,
left.
I'll give you an example. Like from January to October last year, in our carts, we took in $196,000. This year, we took in $286,000.
Wow.
So you can, there's a big difference. But the money's there. If we continue the way we're going without new carts, and people are going to get aggravated because we're having to go out there and swap carts with them. Like one group the other day, we had to swap carts with them 3 times. And it's hard to explain to a group of guys, hey, we still want you to come back, but we just have to do something. And we planned ahead, but when we did this membership thing, I didn't know it was going to take off like this. And they said that it would, and it has. So now, we have the money, and I think we should do it.
I think it's certainly a good problem to have that all of a sudden you got a lot more people than you were planning on. So.
Yeah, more people, more money.
And correct me if I'm wrong, in this case, because you're going to trade back in the old golf carts, this money, if you've made $285,000 in rental fees so far, this will cover the lease, won't it?
Well,
It would.
Yeah. So that's good.
Well, growing pains is always good pains to have. And you got to have the equipment out there. But just like all of our other vehicles inside the city, you know, we've finally mapped out a game and strategy for the police vehicles, okay? After this initial lease right here for 3 years, do you see where it could be feasible to come up with a system that would allow you to replace, say, 20 cards a year going forward? And that way, instead of buying 65 at one time, and hopefully you're going to keep growing that golf course out there to where 65 is an insufficient number, and you're going to need 85, and get the city on a cycle to replace a quarter of those cards annually. That way, you've always got fresh inventory showing up every season. And if you do have a party out there that had a breakdown 3 times in a row, on the second breakdown, you say, whoa, wait a minute here, you're getting a brand new one, and you go get them and keep them happy, because you got to keep them happy. So we can't have junk out there running around.
right.
But we need to, my opinion is, to try to do it in a way that has a minimum impact on the city's finances.
Yeah, that's possible, and with Randall's permission, I'll get with David McConnell and see if he has a plan that he would want to, maybe he knows how to maintain that better than we do.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions for him? Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. So is there any further discussion amongst us? Call the roll, please.
Farnham.
Yes.
Mumpower.
Yes.
Wingard.
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes. All right. Item 3, resolution authorizing lease purchase of trash collection trucks. Staff report.
Council, this is a lease purchase agreement that was entered into actually back in July. It was previously budgeted. This is for one of our trucks that I believe is 11 years old. It has 10,000 hours on it, or maybe it's 9 years old with 10,000 hours on it. And I think one lease rolled off the previous year, and this allows us to pick up this new vehicle. Now, what the leasing company requires, and why this is before you tonight, the leasing company requires the resolution that you all approve the lease that is presented before you tonight.
All right, thank you. No one signed up for public comment, so can we read the resolution by caption only, please?
Sure. A resolution of the governing body of City of Bristol, Virginia, authorizing the execution and delivery of a master equipment lease purchase agreement and separate schedules with respect to the acquisition, purchase, financing, and leasing of certain equipment and other property for the public benefit, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents required in the connection therewith, and authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transactions contemplated by the resolution.
Thank you. Looking for a motion and a second to take action on this.
I may make a motion to do the lease purchase by caption only.
Second.
All right, so a motion from Mr. Mumpower and second from Mr. Farnham. Council discussion.
Well, here's another one. We just get out of the lease and we're going right back in. We've got to figure out how to get more life out of these vehicles. Somehow, some way. I mean, if you continue to lease and never own and have that payment every month, and I know there's a cost to doing business, but sometimes your business practices cost more than you can truly budget for, so you have to regroup. Somehow, some way, we've got to figure out how to get a year, 2, 3, 4 after a lease to where the city is not paying for leases and replacing equipment all the time. It's just I just feel like something is not quite right when you end one lease and sign another one immediately. Something's not right.
Is there any further discussion? The clerk would call the roll, please.
Farnum.
Yes.
Mumpower.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes. Item 4, resolution approving the sale of Clear Creek Lot E23. Staff report.
Council, this is Lot E23. I think it's off Pebble Creek Drive, Pebble Beach Drive. And it's the first lot on the right. We had a public hearing on it last week. I showed the overhead view, and the offer has been for $14,000. Mr. Stinney was here last week. He spoke to council in regards to why the offer was at that rate. Basically, there's some clearing and some excavation work that has to be done. In regards to approving the contract, the only thing that I would ask that would be amended in the contract is that the owner has to consult with the golf course superintendent prior to clearing any of the trees on the lot or the adjacent lot. On the adjacent lot, which is city-owned, we probably will need to do that ourselves since that's on city property and clear that up ourselves instead of allowing a third party to do that.
All right. No public comment. If you could read the resolution, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Bristol, Virginia, authorizing the sale of city-owned property at Clear Creek, Lot E23, whereas the city owns a parcel of property known as Clear Creek, Lot E23, that is listed for sale, and whereas an offer was submitted for the purchase of the property for $14,000, and whereas the City Council held a public hearing on the offer received on October 22nd, 2019, and heard no objections, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Bristol, Virginia, that the offer received on Clear Creek, Lot E23, will be accepted as presented, passed and adopted by the City Council of the City of Bristol, Virginia at a called meeting of said council held on October 29th, 2019.
All right, thank you. Looking for a motion and a second on this.
I move that we accept the resolution with the amendment to the contract that the city manager mentioned in his comments.
Second.
All right, motion from the Vice Mayor and second from Mr. Farnum. Council discussion.
What's the issue with the other properties? I thought we were trying to auction and sell the rest of the properties. I'm kind of feeling there's a kind of a hit and miss here, like one comes up and 6 months goes by and another comes up. And
You know, I've discussed this with several council members in regards to how we want to proceed. Most of this property's now been on the market for about 357 days. And we, as this council's aware, we get an offer here and there on property. Sometimes the offer is less than what we'd like. Sometimes it's appropriate. I think we need to have an internal discussion as how we move forward at this point as to whether we auction it, whether we hold, and see what the city's future holds here in the next year or so, and then make a determination as to how to move forward.
Well, I'll say I appreciate the offer and this person's willingness to buy this and invest in the city of Bristol, so I do appreciate it. And I look forward to, I know a lot of those houses up there are all real nice, so it'll increase in tax value for us, and they'll have a nice new house in a nice area. So it seems like a win-win for everyone, and we'll certainly make some money off of it in the long run in tax revenue. So this seems good for us. Any other discussion?
I was just going to say, we talked a little bit about the price and what the price of lots are that are selling, particularly out there by the golf course, and you think they would be selling for more. So I was curious. I did a little search today because I am a real estate agent. I'm not a real estate agent for the city, but I just am a real estate agent on my own. And I looked in the MLS system, the Southwest Virginia Association of Realtors MLS, about lots that are available for sale in the city of Bristol, Virginia, and outside in Washington County. And Washington County is kind of a big area, so it's a kind of a broad search. But Right now, there's 208 lots for sale. 45 have sold this year, in the past 12 months. So if you divide that out, it's like a 4.5-year supply of inventory on the market. There's not really a whole lot of people buying lots and building houses. So I think, a particular buyer could buy a lot anywhere they choose. So I think the fact that they're choosing the city of Bristol, Virginia is a good sign that we'll have some new construction, some growth in the city, and new folks living in the city. So, yeah, that was all I have to say.
All right. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Farnum.
Yes.
Mumpower.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes. All right. Item C is a closed session. Pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A7 Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, legal matter. Looking for a motion and a second.
I move that we go into closed session for the reasons stated.
Second.
So motion for Mr. Farnum and second for Mr. Hartley. Please call the roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Mumpower.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes. All right, we're back. Thank you all for waiting on us. By roll call vote, council members certify that only business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements as specified in the motion to convene an executive session were discussed. Please call the roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Mumpower.
Yes.
Wingard.
Abstain.
Hartley.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes, we stand adjourned.